2000 Jeep Wrangler transmission needs to come out of this thing. Jeep does it different. This is the whole cross member, and it covers up almost the whole transmission. Here's the transmission. Transfer case is underneath here. Look at this tiny little drive shaft. Transfer case is up in there. So the first thing we got to do, 4 nuts here, and then take this giant plate off, which is these. And if those have never been, it looks, this one's lifted, so these have definitely been out before, but these sometimes can get rusted in there, and they're super hard to get out. But this one should be easy because it's been out before. So let's get this thing down. Alright, so as you can see, once that's down, it's all wide open under here. Transfer case, mount, transmission. And we're going to take this plate off right here and get to torque converter bolts, take the starter off, and the 2 drive shafts. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, now that we got that rear drive shaft off and got this supported, now we're going to, before we put the jack under here, I'm going to take off all these lines. I'm going to take off these connectors, this bolt here. If this doesn't pull out of here and this clip's going to break, then I just unscrew it out of the transmission. Take this here off, this bracket off, take the starter off, and then this little cover right here comes off, and your torque converter bolts are in there. And take this mount off. When you're taking these cooler lines off, another thing that happens is you'll go to turn this, and if you can see, the whole brass fitting and everything turns, which won't let it come loose. So you have to hold that inner one with like a 16 millimeter and then break this loose. Otherwise you'll twist that line off. Okay, so we don't break this, we're just going to turn out the whole thing. Alright, I'm not going to take either one of those all the way out so they don't leak the whole time I'm taking everything else off. 4/15 for that, 2 more here, and there's going to be 16. Alright, hold the exhaust also. Now that we got all that unhooked, ready to go, transfer case has got to come off. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take the starter off, which is one here and one up here. Take the starter off, take this cover off, and take those torque converter bolts out. Then we will take the transfer case off. Then we'll take transmission out. Two 15s. All right, and here we are with the cover off. You can see there's one torque converter bolt there, and there's one there. So there's 4 of them. You just got to rotate it around and get each one to there. And I rotate it with a socket and a ratchet on the front of the crankshaft. Okay, so next in line, I'm going to put a jack under this, and I'm going to take this transfer case out. This bracket is the worst thing. This 15 right here, you got to kind of work off with a ratchet and a socket. The one you can see that is up in there, I go through here with a wobble and a short extension, and that's how I get that off. So support the transmission, and we'll get the transfer case off. Make sure all the electrical's unhooked from it. Make sure all the zip ties are cut, whatever you got to do to get that stuff off. This rod comes off, and we'll get this transfer case out of here. That one comes off like that. See if we can get this one like this. No, it won't go in there. Short 9/16. Pry action, like so. Okay, now we really do need to support it. Okay, take the weight off of this tripod, take the rest of the nuts off, pull it off of there. I think some of these were cut. All right, now that we're here, we're going to take off these lines and then take off that bracket, bell housing bolts. Okay, now that the cooler lines are loose, you can get this bracket off. And with that bracket off, you can get to that bell housing bolt. Now that you have all that off, bell housing bolts, there's going to be 2 big ones, one on each side, and then there's going to be 4 small ones on the top. Be careful you don't mess up that crank sensor right there, taking it out or putting it back in. And then we're going to get this out of here. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a tripod under here, under the oil pan, because these motors are back heavy, and when I take this off, I don't want this motor falling down hard and breaking something up top or pulling on something. So I'm going to support this also. Dipstick over there probably stuck. Take this bracket out of here so I can slide the whole thing this way because it's catching on this exhaust. And dipstick came out. These AKC knives, I think this is like 70 bucks or something. This thing has been a great knife. AKC F20 out the front knife. AKC, got it from Knife Works. It's like 70 some dollars. It's been a great knife. Got that vent hose on a barbed fitting. head it is berthed. That crank sensor. Gotta be careful with that. Take it off. It is out. Got to be careful with the crank sensor. Make sure you don't break that. Take it out while you're working on it. And this is the pickup for the crank sensor. All right, 2000 Jeep Wrangler. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next one.